0-1, 0-2, then 0-3. The scenes of disbelief and hands on heads told the story. But Ting's agonizing screams cut through the air, only to give way to an overwhelming sense of indescribable despair. Blow after blow landed, turning Old Trafford last night into a nightmarish tragedy for Manchester United. Andre Onana conceded 3 times to Bournemouth, while the Red Devils' attack floundered in their desperate search for a goal. With hands on hips and expressions of helplessness, United's players watched the visitors dismantle their fortress for the 9th time this season. Once again, Manchester United's defence faltered from a set piece, making them the second worst in Premier League history at conceding in such situations. Never before had this club been positioned in the bottom half of the table heading into Christmas, but that historic low seems inevitable this year. What could be more painful than this? If the instability continues, the once joking notion of United fighting to avoid relegation may no longer be so far-fetched. Last night's nightmare at Old Trafford unfolded like this. Now, let's dive into the key moments of this unforgettable chapter in the Red Devils' season. Returning to Old Trafford after being knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Tottenham, Ruben Amorim made sweeping changes to the lineup compared to the previous match, which featured many backup players. Informed star Amad Diallo was given a start, while Kobbie Mainoo also returned to the starting XI, replacing Eriksen in a more advanced role. Joshua Zirkzee was rotated in to lead the line instead of Højlund, and the biggest surprise came with the inclusion of Malaysia at left back, giving us a glimpse of Ten Hag's legacy pairing on the flanks. One interesting stat heading into the game was that in the last 10 meetings between Manchester United and Bournemouth, the Red Devils had claimed 7 victories. With the added advantage of playing at home, Amorim's men approached the match with the confidence of a superior side. It didn't take long for United to issue their first warning shot. In the 6th minute, the main source of inspiration in the Red Devils' attack, none other than Amad Diallo, made his presence known. The Ivorian youngster found space in the box and unleashed a powerful shot, but it wasn't enough to beat Bournemouth's goalkeeper. Despite an energetic start, United's play unexpectedly slowed down in the following minutes. The ball was moved cautiously through their back 3, with Harry Maguire, a former captain, taking on a pivotal role. Maguire frequently carried the ball forward, using his trademark surges to disrupt Bournemouth's defensive structure. However, Manchester United's left-wing attack struggled due to Tyrell Malaysia's weak link. After a lengthy spell on the sidelines, the Dutch left-back seemed unable to keep up with the pace of a Premier League game. It was a challenge for Malaysia to get up to speed, let alone contribute meaningfully to the team's play. He wasn't the only one struggling, however. Up front, Joshua Zirkzee had an equally disappointing first-half display. The Dutchman looked clumsy and disconnected, with most of the long balls aimed at him being dealt with easily by the Bournemouth defense. Although Erik ten Hag is gone, the legacy of his signings and squad selections remains, leaving Ruben Amorim scratching his head as he searches for a solution. Playing at home, but failing to assert his dominance, Manchester United's lack of control is starting to worry fans, and that anxiety turned to utter despair in the 29th minute. A simple pass into the box found Bournemouth's towering Dean Huijsen, who beat Zirkzee in the air and headed past Andre Onana. The Cameroonian goalkeeper stood still, helpless against the trajectory and accuracy of the ball. Once again, Manchester United's defense was exposed from a set-piece, a recurring weakness this season. Now, questions have been raised about their ability to defend from dead ball situations. Perhaps it's time for United to seriously consider the role of their set-piece coach, as these repeated errors continue to cost the team dearly. After the shocking early setback, Bruno Fernandes took centre stage in Manchester United's efforts to find an equaliser. The Portuguese captain had no fewer than 2 clear chances to score, exploiting gaps in Bournemouth's defensive line. However, his thunderous strikes from distance, using the laces of his boots, lacked the precision needed to ripple the net. Beyond long-range attempts, Bruno found himself in a golden opportunity during a 3 versus 2 situation. Kobbie Mainoo, instead of passing to the struggling Joshua Zirkzee, opted to feed Bruno. The skipper aimed for the far corner with a curling effort, but it lacked the venom and precision to beat Bournemouth's keeper, Kepa. Bournemouth's performance, meanwhile, showed why they're closing in on the top 4 and comfortably sitting above Manchester United in the table. Their compact and disciplined play underlined the gulf in form between the two sides. As for United, their persistent weakness in defending set pieces remains glaring. The first half goal marked the 9th time this season the Red Devils have conceded from a dead ball situation. Only Wolverhampton have fared worse among all Premier League teams. A thoroughly disappointing first half saw United plagued by two glaring weak links, Tyrell Malacia on the left flank and Joshua Zirkzee up front. Neither player offered the quality required at this level, leaving the Old Trafford faithful frustrated and apprehensive about what the second half might bring. As predicted, by the 55th minute, the struggling Dutch duo of Malacia and Zirkzee were both taken off. Malacia was replaced by Euro, with Diogo Dalot shifting to the left flank while Mazraoui moved to the right. Meanwhile, Rasmus Højlund came on to offer a glimmer of hope up front in place of the ineffective Zirkzee. However, before Amorim's changes could make an impact, Manchester United's defence fell asleep once again. Surprisingly, the mistake came from one of their most reliable players this season, Mazraoui. In a one-on-one duel with Justin Kluivert, Mazraoui failed to keep up with the Dutch winger's blistering pace. The situation turned disastrous as he brought Kluivert down inside the box, leaving the referee with no choice but to point to the penalty spot. To add insult to injury, it was Kluivert himself who stepped up and coolly sent Andre Onana the wrong way, doubling Bournemouth's lead. What on earth is happening at Old Trafford? Manchester United fans stared in disbelief at the scoreboard displaying 0-2, still haunted by the midweek shock against Tottenham. The wounds from that 3-4 defeat were still fresh, and yet another blow had arrived. It wasn't just the fans. United's players on the pitch seemed equally dazed, unable to recover from the earlier goals. Before the home side could regroup, they were struck again. This time the disaster unfolded down the right flank, where Bournemouth ruthlessly exploited the vulnerabilities of Euro and Mazraoui. A well-worked move saw the visitors slice through United's defence, delivering a perfect cutback to Antoine Semenyo, who fired past Andre Onana with ease. 3-0. It was all too much, too quick, too dangerous, and too devastating. The Red Devils were left floundering, with little else to do but let out cries of frustration. Memories of their spirited comeback against Spurs lingered, sparking faint hopes of a similar fight back. Ruben Amorim responded by introducing Alejandro Garnacho in the 65th minute, aiming to salvage something from the wreckage. Garnacho and Højlund immediately combined for a promising chance, with the Danes' deft pass setting up the Argentines' run perfectly. But the recurring issue of poor decision-making in critical moments struck again. Garnacho's final touch left fans with their heads in their hands. As the game dragged toward its conclusion, United's attacking efforts relied almost entirely on Højlund. The former Atalanta striker showed glimpses of sharpness, creating and taking shots whenever opportunities arose. However, his efforts lacked the precision needed to truly trouble Bournemouth's defence. A critical moment in the match was Amorim's earlier decision to withdraw Manuel Ugarte, who had been booked and was subbed off to avoid the risk of a second yellow card. This left United's midfield exposed. Bruno Fernandes dropped deeper to partner Kobbie Mainoo, but the Portuguese captain's lack of positional awareness as a central midfielder created a gaping hole in the middle of the park. The pressure on the young Mainoo was immense, and it showed when he lost possession in a dangerous area, leading directly to Bournemouth's third goal. The final whistle brought an end to the nightmare, leaving Old Trafford stunned. The so-called new manager bounce under Ruben Amorim had clearly faded, exposing the same deep-rooted issues from Erik ten Hag's tenure. Amorim now faces the monumental challenge of patching up the lingering flaws of his predecessor while trying to impose his own philosophy on this struggling squad. This 7th defeat of the season has dragged Manchester United down to an alarming 13th place in the Premier League standings, a position unthinkable for a club of their stature. Meanwhile, the nightmare bringers Bournemouth are soaring high in 5th place, continuing their remarkable campaign. The question now looms larger than ever: who can save Manchester United? Fans of the Red Devils are left searching desperately for answers, their patience wearing thin as the once proud club struggles to find its footing. With each passing match, the weight of expectation grows heavier and the solutions seem further out of reach. A turnaround feels like a distant dream, one that supporters can only hope will come sooner rather than later. Thank you for watching and staying with us until the end of this emotional roller coaster. If you enjoyed the analysis or want to keep up with the latest updates, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. What do you think needs to change at Manchester United? See you in the next video.